Good morning, Floss Tube. It's Anna from the YouTube channel Quilt Roadies and also the Woolly Mammoth .blogspot.com blog, and Anna and G on the road with the Quilt Show. And the reason I'm here today is I have decided that, well, I was inspired. I was totally inspired. My friend Marion invited me to a group cross-stitch on the first Thursday of every month at Acorns and Threads, and that world was unknown to me. I have been cross-stitching for quite a while, but not in a group setting that you know, you catch the virus, the excitement of whatever is going on in the group. I have never done that with cross-stitch. I was taught cross-stitch, for a little background here, when I first moved to Oregon with my husband, G. I really didn't do a lot of crafting. I was a little bit of a crafty girl, but not a whole lot, nothing very passionate. And I started working night shift in labor and delivery, and I was the only labor and delivery nurse scheduled at night. So there was a lot of downtime waiting, but you had to have that person staffed, and to do something to keep your mind active. My friend Robin, who was the postpartum and nursery nurse and ultimately NICU nurse, taught me to cross-stitch. And so I cross-stitched for just here and there, picked up projects and cross-stitched, and then I went on to quilting in '93. This is back in the '80s. So I've continued to cross-stitch bits and pieces here as the time goes on, but I tell you, that group, that first Thursday stitch group at Acorns and Threads blew my mind. I had never actually stitched, cross-stitched in a group setting, and it's like, it's contagious, especially when you're in a shop as sweet as Acorns and Threads and you have all of these samples, and oh, it was just so inspiring. I know that I was like, people must have thought, all those other floss tubers that were there must have thought, who's that weird woman over there? Because I was kind of not my normal self. I was kind of awestruck. I was like, I couldn't even call it fangirling because I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't know anything about really floss tube. I had heard one friend, Ann, talk a little bit about it, but that world was really unknown to me until a couple of weeks ago. And it blew my mind. It just blew my mind that it even existed. And I was like, oh my God. It was like the, you know, I don't know. I was awestruck, and so I was not real chatty. I was just, you know, I felt like my kindergarten self, where my mouth was hanging open and I'm just staring, zoning out to whatever's going on across the room. That's what I felt like who are these people? And what is this floss tube? And what? So that's how I was that day. They must have walked out of there and said, whoa, there's a special cross-stitcher, you know. But I had a great time. And now I look at my cross-stitch entirely different. It's like I need it. I need those people. I need the community, because I have been slowly accumulating what you wouldn't even call them whips or UFOs. Now, see, I know those abbreviations from quilting, because a lot of my cross-stitch is just dreams. They were just dreams. And I've been I've had to move from a small box to a bigger box, but I realized maybe if I do this floss tube channel, I might keep it like at the front of my brain. You know, it's kind of like having that special book on your nightstand so you see it every day when you go to bed and you're like, oh, I got to read the next chapter, or I want to read the next chapter. It's kind of like that. So I apologize that this Floss 2 channel is mostly self-serving. I want to get some cross-stitch started and completed, and I want to share. I want to share it, and I know that some of the quilters, I have a huge group of quilters that are great, but they're maybe not interested in cross-stitch. And then there's these cross-stitchers who might be interested in what I'm doing that could care less about the quilting. So, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. The Quilt Roadies is edited by G. He is my go-to guy for editing and music and making it a little bit better than I filmed it, you know, or videoed it, I should say. Boy, that dated me. This channel, though, I didn't want to burden him with, and so it is not going to be edited. That's a scary thought. And it's not going to have music. It's just going to be me talking to you. And this first one will be somewhat on the long side because I want to give you a little history of what my cross stitch looks like and what I'm interested in. But from now on, it'll be little snippets of what I've accomplished, if I picked up any tips along the way, and just general sharing of my life as cross stitch goes. So that's the thing. So Stitch Roadies is the YouTube channel for Floss Tube for me. Oh, it's a good life. It's a good life. And like I take quilting on the road, I will be taking cross stitch on the road. So let's get to the history of it. My very first project that I did, taught to me by, and I apologize already, because cross stitch was like this peripheral thing that I did. I don't know the designers. This is a whole new world for me on people sharing designers, fabric, count, thread. I mean, it is mind-boggling. So these cross stitches that I've done, I won't be able to give you any information on them because I don't know. I never kept it in my brain, and I didn't even put the year or my name on most of these that I did, but I want to share them with you. So this was the very first one that I did. That was G and me. And I did it for, I think it was for our anniversary. And it still hangs. We have a, here in Sisters, we have a big walk-in closet and it hangs in there. And I love it. I love it. But you can see by the matte color and everything, it was back in the 80s. Yeah. And then the second one I did used to hang outside on the porch by the front door, and it was just a bunch of teapots. The funny thing that I've noticed in the cross stitch that I've done lately is that back then you had to outline everything, and now they don't do that a whole lot now. So let's see. As far as years that I did these, I can't give you. I gave so much away. You know, I'm one of those people that I like to make things as gifts, so I don't always, you know, I may have made several different things, but who knows? I can't even remember. I should have kept a log on who I gave them to, but they're gone. This one here, I just love this. I need to remap this. See, I didn't know what I was doing, and I just kind of, it's kind of a little bit wrinkly. But this hangs in my laundry room, and it kind of combines my world of cross-stitch and quilting. I love this one. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this one's another one that probably needs a little bit of help framing. But I did that little woolly sheep. I'm all about the bees and the sheep. The sheep because I'm passionate about wool. I do a lot of wool stitching, and so hence I have lots of sheep in my sewing room, but my sewing room is called the beehive, and so I have a lot of things that are bees too. And then this little kit, it came with the fabric, the thread, and the pattern, was gifted to me by my friend Karen, and I just love that. That is like one of my faves. And then, so you can see I'm not like a total newbie, but I'm a total newbie to the culture of cross stitch. Who knew? I had no idea. I really had no idea. This one I don't know the name of, but I do know that I got it at Acorns and Threads. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with this. And part of it was that it came with a packet of buttons. Oh, it's so cute. I still love this. This hangs in my beehive here. And I love the decorative frame on that. So you can see I've never done any of the fancy cross stitches, and I used to only stitch on 14 count Ada cloth, and in the last few years I ventured into linen, which I love, but because I am a cultural newbie to the whole cross stitch world, I know nothing about fabrics. And so at this group meeting, when they were talking, you know, someone would yell across, "Oh, what did you do that on?" They would yell back, "Oh, I did it on blah, 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 and it's this count." My mouth was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I have no knowledge of cross-stitch fabrics. I'm the kind of person right now, at least, that finds something I want to make. I walk up to Janine or Julie or somebody at Acorns and Threads, and I say, "I need the fabric and the thread for this." And then they come back and give me a little baggie with everything in it, and I'm quite happy. So I don't know what's going to happen to me now. I feel like my brain is exploding, and yeah, it's different. I know that a few of my quilting friends have been cross-stitching, and we did have that cross-stitch finishing class here, but I didn't, that was just the first taste that there's something going on in the world that I'm on the outside edge of. And so now I'm going to step into the circle. Well, this, I do know who the designer of this is. It's absolutely my favorite project I finished. And it's by Jardine Prive, Private Garden. It's a French designer. And I saw, there's a gal who I have linked on my Woolly blog, She's in Japan, and she does exquisite stitching, all kinds of exquisite stitching. And she was doing this particular project. But I loved her thread color choice. So I wrote her, and she sent me exactly the thread colors that she used. And I just love this. This is one of my favorites. Yes. And did I put my name on it? See, that's the thing. Oh yeah, I did. I put my initials. This is one of the few here that I put my initials and the year that I finished this. And I finished this in 2016. So I've been plugging along, you know, and I love this. I love the Eiffel Tower, and I love France a lot. But I especially have fondness for the Eiffel Tower because one time my mother and my youngest son and I were traveling through Europe on the train, and we went to the Eiffel Tower. Believe it or not, I was a runner back then, and one of the things I wanted to do was run the Eiffel Tower. Oh yeah, and we did it. Not my mom, but my son and I, we did it. And but my mom, she was a pistol, you know. She was all about educating yourself, and you didn't get to just travel around Europe and be gaga at the sights. You had to learn something everywhere you went. And so when we ran back down, the first thing she asked us was, who built the Eiffel Tower? I was like, and my son and I looked at each other, and we knew we were in deep doo-doo if we didn't have an answer. And so I yelled, Mr. Eiffel! And my son goes, Mr. Eiffel! And my mom started laughing, and she goes, that's not his full name. But boy, did we pull that out of the hat. Yeah, that was so I have that fond memory. So Eiffel Tower kind of always does it for me. And let's see. Last year, or no, not last year, several years ago, two girlfriends and I went to the largest quilt show in Europe, and it's held in 4 different villages, and they had the largest vendor mall I had ever seen. Of course, we were there for quilting, but naturally, we were like, one of the vendors was a cross-stitch booth, and we were like, gaga for this one pattern. And so we purchased it, and I can't remember. That must have been a while. I think that was 5 years ago. I don't know. But it's one of those long-term projects. So just so you know, this here is 2 pages of it. There's 4 pages. 4 pages. And I printed it out on paper so that I could color it with a pencil to where I was at, because oh my gosh. But the thing about it, the whole pattern was in French, and I had no clue about the thread and the fabric, and so I took that pattern to Janine at Acorns and Threads up in Portland, which is about 3 hours from me, and I said, here's the pattern, can you make up 2 fabric and thread kits for me? And so she did. And the whole thing, of course there's going to be light through it, but the whole thing is on blue and is white thread. So this is like one of those long-term projects, you know, and I have the rest of the fabric rolled up because this is actually, this is only 1.5 pages, so that means I have 3.5 pages left to do. Insane, I know. So I know this is going long, but this is just an introductory video. The rest of my videos will not be this long because I will not have accomplished anything. And then last quilt roadie trip, last winter, I discovered Modern Embroidery, and I have his link on my Woolly blog. And he gave a free pattern, and I love that. So I made this last winter. Let's Be Kind, and it's a free download on his. So what have I got going now? I'm currently working on Little House Needleworks, Simplicity, little woolly thing. And I only have gotten around the edge, so I still have a bit to go on that, but I love that. And then I am working on this Sew Together. It's a Jeanette Douglas design. And I'm doing pretty good on that one, so I'm working on the bird right now. But I love that. I love this. I love this. So that you know that I have discovered that I'm just like the rest of you, and that I have this big project box. I know in my future for this year for starts is this will be my first dip into 40 count. I've never done 40 count, but I just love that quilting bee. I'm all about the quilting, all about the cross stitch, and all about the bees. And then I saw this done, one of the cross stitchers. Ooh, I like the one on the back too. Oh, I didn't even know there was something on the back. But that's going to be in my near future. And then the Little House Needleworker one is in my future. As far as, oh, let's see. Oh, this box I could go on, and I'll share in future videos, but this is going to get too long and too boring. But when I was driving home from our recent quilt roadie trip, camping, I came home a couple days ago, and of course, driving through Portland, I had to stop at Acorns and Threads again. What, you know. And so I bought these two cards there, because I love that they have sewing and stitching and theme, and this one has even knitting, so I know a lot of knitters. And then I saw this, book number 3 of Keepsakes, and I love that little beehive on there. Yeah. And then last year I was with a friend in Mesa, Arizona, and she took me to the Addict, and I bought this book. And there are 2 projects in here that are on my must-to-do list. And one is Blessings Be Thine. I love that red, is just so pretty. And then the other one is this cardinal. I did not know that in Arizona there are red cardinals until I was hiking and I saw a red bird. I went, oh! Then I did research, because every time I read or do anything, I have to research it. So I will be taking you along on my cross-stitch journey here. We do a lot of traveling with Quilt Roadies. We are in Portland a lot. We have family up there, and we have a tiny home in Tucson, so we are down there too. So I hope you hang in with me. I hope you check back. I'm not sure of the schedule. I personally would like to do once a week. That's just for me, not for you. Because I think if I do once a week, I can say, oh, I did 20 stitches. When I see these gals on Floss Tube that have homework, Homework, okay, I am so over homework. You know, I have to do 1,000 stitches, and I'm like, 1,000 stitches? Okay, my floss tube will be a chill floss tube. Like, we did 20 stitches this week, and look at this, aren't we proud? So that's where we're going to be at. So thank you, thank you. Please subscribe. If you hit the bell, just like on the Quilt Roadies, if you hit the little bell when you subscribe, all it does, none of this costs you money, and all of it does is let you know when I get around to uploading that video number 2, which I hope won't be very long, because of course I'm going to do 20 stitches this week. Take care. Thanks for coming. Bye.